What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the top 5 best solo player builds in Where Winds Meet. So in this guide I will give you a quick overview of each setup, then I will explain what are their pros and cons, then how do their key mechanics work, then even what gear and items should you focus on. And overall these are the builds that will require little to no investment in order to work properly. They are ideal for newer players or for someone who just wants to have fun while dominating 99% of the content. Also, if you're interested in buying other PC or console games with 50 or 70% discount, then check out Instant Gaming. For example, I want to buy Elden Ring, so we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay, then input our details and pay. After payment is complete, we will receive activation key, then copy and paste the key in, and it's that simple. So what are you waiting for? Click my link description and check out Instant Gaming for yourself. So, for the first one, we have the Sword and Fan build. This is one of the most beginner-friendly and powerful builds that you can start using from day one, as all of the weapons and items are very easy to get. When you are just starting out, you're still figuring out the combat flow, the story and all the systems, so you don't really want to stress out about the complex mechanics or the perfect timing. This build gives you everything you need to survive, so deal great damage and stay alive without constantly chugging healing flasks. The core of this build is the Nameless Sword paired with the Penance Fan. The Nameless Sword is your main weapon. It's super reliable, strong and flexible. It's got a great charge ranged attack, a solid gap closer to engage enemies, and even a disengage move, so you can pull back safely. But then on the other hand, the Penance Fan is your lifeline. It's a healing weapon that you get early from the oddity vendor after a quick quest. The fan gives you a constant healing and a healing totem ability, and even a ranged attack that adds a nice bit of utility. Basically, you can heal yourself and take on bosses solo without worrying about running out of flasks. Then for internals, you will want one that enhances both the sword and the fan, so one that boosts the Nameless Sword's charged attack and adds an extra energy wave, or one that improves the fan's healing totem, then another one that increases the bow damage, and even a general internal that boosts both the healing and the damage. You can stick with the recommended Nameless armor and the weapon set for now, and don't worry, you can always refund or respec later. And then for our rotation it's simple. We start with a charged sword attack, then close the gap with a follow-up combo, then dodge back with a cleave, then switch to your fan and drop healing and poke from the range. Overall, this build is clean, it's safe and the DPS just works. Next up we have the Dual Blades and the Rope Dart build. This setup is built for fast, aggressive gameplay, with a high mobility and sustained pressure. The Dual Blades give you quick combos, rapid strikes and strong gap closers, while the Rope Dart will add reach, the bleed stacking and crowd control. Once you unlock both, the gameplay loop will become about weaving in and out of range, by using the blades to burst enemies down up close, and then switching to the dart for the range control or the bleed effects, before darting back in for the finish. To prepare, you will start by unlocking the Dual Blades, which you can get on day 1 from the Oddity vendor after completing the early story quest that involves the Beehive and the Bear. However, if you rather start with a more forgiving setup, then you can pick up the Healing Fan first, but grabbing the blades early will let you start leveling them right away. And then the Rope Dart, on the other hand, will come later through the main story quest, once you open the Qifeng City map. It's tied to a Stealth and Disguise questline, or by joining a specific set within that region. Then for internals, there are 4 key ones that define this build. The Forgotten River enhances the Dual Blades damage, the Mudfish will boost the Rope Dart, the Song of Issue is all-purpose buff for both damage and survivability, and depending on your focus you can also choose the Stonebreaker for the PvE, or the Blade Weeping for PvP bleed stacking. You will get these from the bosses and the quests, so expect some grinding and recycling materials to refine your setup. Once you get the weapons and internals, you wanna stick with the Bamboo Cut Wind Martial Skull and its recommended gear. It buffs critical hits, light attacks and the bleed effects. And then for rotation, we open with the Dual Blade rushes and the combos, then switch to the Rope Dart for control or the bleed procs, and then re-engage for kill confirms. This build is fast, flashy and incredibly rewarding once mastered. Next on the list we have the Umbrella and the Fan build, which is one of the flashiest and most technical ranged DPSs in the game. This martial arts combo uses the 9-fold Umbrella and the Inkwell Fan, but make sure you're using their damage dealing versions and not the healing ones. But then in the later game you can of course mix and match the healing with the DPS, depending on which one you're suffering more from. But together, these weapons will form a ranged playstyle that focuses on mobility, precision, and constant switching between one another. The Umbrella will provide powerful support and auto-attacking damage, while the fan applies key debuffs that amplify everything that the Umbrella does. It's an elegant and high-skill setup with the excellent crowd control and sustained DPS. The Umbrella revolves around unique resource called the Bloom, which is represented by pink petals that you will build through your normal attacks. Once your petals are at full, you will unleash your heavy skill, so sending the Umbrella into the air where it automatically attacks enemies, while you freely swap weapons, and that's when you switch to the fan. While the Umbrella is active, you want to apply the fan's aerial and the fracture bone debuffs. These will boost the Umbrella's damage dramatically, though they will also drain petals faster. The Umbrella's light charge attacks will let you fly and shoot at range, while the heavy and light combos will generate petals quickly in the melee fights. And then the Inkwell fan is your main damage dealer. Its light attacks will fire projectiles, and its heavy skills will let you dash, then lift enemies, and apply those crucial debuffs. Once enemies are airborne or fractured, you can perform an overpowered 5-hit follow-up for a massive burst damage. Also, use your light skills first to gain a 30% projectile buff, and makes your next follow-up empowered. Then Chain Tornado and the heavy dashes to keep enemies juggled. So, to summarize this rotation, we start with a fan to activate the buff, then swap to the Umbrella, and then stun with its light skill, then build petals, and then release the heavy skill, then switch back to the fan to juggle and burst while the Umbrella attacks passively, and then just rinse and repeat. Once you master the timing, this build becomes a pure ranged DPS destruction. Next up we have the Spear and the Sword build, and more specifically the Nameless Sword and the Nameless Spear combo, and honestly it's just way stronger than most people give it credit for. This setup is perfect for players who want something simple but powerful right out of the gate. The Nameless Sword alone can carry you through most of the early game, with its insane charged attacks, the great gap closers and the smooth combos. It's got that classic Dark Moon Greatsword energy, the high burst potential with just a single charged strike and absolutely melt enemies. Meanwhile, the Nameless Spear will add reach, the control and AoV potential, rounding out the build with versatility that works in both PvE and PvP. Now, the beauty of this combo is how quickly you can transition between the weapons. The Nameless Sword will give you mobility, so quick engages, disengages, and follow-ups that keep your enemies locked down. You don't need perfect positioning to make it work. You can just dash in, hit hard, and then slide right back out before the enemies recover. And then the Nameless Spear, on the other hand, will give you range and defensive utility. It lets you root enemies, charge up a projectile immune heavy attack, and even land a free crit when timed correctly. Together, they cover nearly every combat scenario, without requiring advanced mechanics or complicated builds. In terms of rotation, we will start with the sword by opening with a charged attack, then close the gap and chain follow-ups by pressing the same button during recovery. You will dodge back with a built-in cleave, then re-engage before switching to the spear. From there, just root your target, activate the buff to empower your heavy strike, and finish with a charged AoV that often crits. It's simple, smooth and devastating when done right. It's a reliable and flexible starter build that feels great in motion and hits far above its weight. And now for the last one, we are taking a look at the Umbrella and the Rope Dart build, which is a ranged DPS combo that feels like a mix between a spellcaster and an acrobatic. It's flashy, mobile and incredibly fun to play once you get into the rhythm. This build is not available in every version of the game, but once it drops it's going to be a fan favorite for those who enjoy controlling space from mid-range while keeping the high AoV pressure. The gameplay feels almost magical. You blink across the battlefield with the Umbrella, and then follow that up with the Rope Dart to stack debuffs, control groups, and land a huge finisher. Think of it as a ranged duelist that plays like a mage, so only armed with a whip and a spinning parasol. The Umbrella here is not healing 1, this is the DPS version. Its heavy ranged attacks will make the bulk of your damage, while its special ability will let you create a phantom umbrella at a chosen spot. You can teleport to it instantly by turning your weapon into a spinning chainsaw mode that shreds enemies up close. It's stylish fast and gives you built-in mobility for dodging and re-engaging. The Rope Dart, meanwhile, is your setup weapon. It applies a unique debuff called the Soul Loss, which will fuel your heavy attacks and allow you to enter the charge stance automatically. It also has great AoV potential and perfect for crowd control fights or multi-target PvE encounters. And then for rotation, we will start with the Rope Dart, so dash in and apply the Soul Loss, and then land a charge heavy attack, then swap to the Umbrella and spam your heavy ranged attacks, and deploy your Phantom Umbrella to reposition or blink in for the inverted spin. Then teleport back out, throwing in a few light hits while waiting on the cooldowns, and then repeat your ranged bursts. Overall, this build is fast, graceful, and devastating when mastered properly.